I travel a lot, you know. I go here and there in order to speak to the community. About a year ago, I was in Albany, New York. So I gave the khutbah, I spoke to the community in the evening, I addressed the youth the following day, and there was a couple of other events that I attended. Now the most amazing thing happened after my very last talk. An elderly man with a beautiful smile on his face and shiny eyes came up to me after my talk and said, "Imam, you've done an amazing job. Thank you so much." So I said, "You're welcome. It's my pleasure to be here." And I realized that there's something else that he was not telling me. It almost looked like he had a question or something. So I asked him, "What's going on?" He said, "Imam, you do look familiar. You remind me of someone I've known a long time ago. Do you mind if I asked you where you came from?" So I said, "Not at all. I'm Egyptian. I'm of Egyptian heritage." So he said, "I knew it. I know an Egyptian a mile away. I'm from Egypt too." So I smiled, and then he asked, "Which city in Egypt do you come from?" So I told him the city of my birth. So he said, "No way. I came from that same exact city. Do you mind if I asked you which neighborhood?" So I said, "No, not at all. I came from that neighborhood." And I told him the neighborhood, of my upbringing. And he said, "That's impossible. I came from that same exact neighborhood. As a matter of fact, my best friend and roommate in college came from that neighborhood. What is your family name?" he asked. People call you Imam Aziz. Is Aziz your family name? So I said, "Well, close. It's Abdul Aziz. That's our family name." So he said, "You know what? My best friend, my childhood friend, and my roommate in college had the same exact last name, and his first name was Ahmed." I paused for a few seconds in shock. And I told him, "Ahmed Abdul Aziz?" He said, "Yep, Ahmed Abdul Aziz, my best friend. Maybe you know him, is he related to you? Does he come from the same family?" And I said, "Well, if we're talking about the same person, that could possibly be my dad. My father's name was Ahmed Abdul Aziz." And he said, no way, it's got to be somebody else, Imam. He was married to Fatin?" I said, "That's my mom." "Ahmed Abdul Aziz of the Faculty of Science?" he asked. And I said, Yep, that's my dad." And then he looked at me and utterly shocked. And then he literally jumped on me and hugged me so hard. And in the middle of that tight squeeze, he said, "Imam, your dad is an amazing man. I miss him so much. It's been like 40 years since I saw him the last time before I left Egypt and came to America. How is he now?" he asked me. In the middle of my tears, I said, "Well, my dad passed away." And then he looked at me and he said, "That's impossible. When?" And I said, he passed away about 15 years ago." And then he started crying, and I was crying, and here we are, the guest speaker to the masjid, and one of the community members standing in the corner of the masjid. Both of them are in tears, and everyone is looking at us, and they don't know what's going on. It was an amazing moment. I don't even know how to describe it. And then he looked at me and he said, "Imam, I need to tell you something." And I said, "By all means." He held me by the shoulders, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "If your dad were here today, he would have been very proud of you." I was in even more tears. And I said to him, "I hope so." And then I asked him, "Can I hug you again?" And he said, "Please." And now it was my turn to hug him, and I hugged him so hard. And in the middle of the hug, I just imagined that he was my dad. For a few seconds there, I imagined that he was my dad, and I didn't want to let go. And then I was reminded of the ayah in the Quran in which Allah says, وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. He taught us to pray on behalf of our parents and say, "Lord, treat them with compassion as they have taken care of us when we were young." I need to tell you something. One of the greatest blessings of this life is our parents. One of the most precious gifts you have is your parents. If your parents are still alive, you need to go to them right now and sit by their feet. Kiss their hands. Kiss them on the forehead. Smile on their faces. serve them, take care of them, comfort them, be there for them. For wallahi, we only appreciate the value of the beautiful things we have when they're taken away from us.